Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Happy New Year. Welcome aboard another trip around the flaming ball of fire in the sky. Matthew Buckley, call sign Whiz. Welcome aboard the Max Afterburner podcast, sponsored, powered by No Fallen Heroes. Folks, head to nofallenheroesfoundation.org where you can donate to pitch into the fight to save veterans' lives, the lives of first responders and their families. It is going to be an incredible year. It's always an incredible year, but this year on the flight schedule, we have some massive stuff going on. Continuing our documentary film project called No Fallen Heroes, big marketing department, where we're going to be heading to somewhere with some female fighter pilot veterans, some first responders, some family folks to continue healing journey, continue spreading the message, and just great stuff. I'm blessed beyond words, truly blessed for everything that happened last year. Thankful for the suffering, right? My brother Slider, you heard him in a bunch of his podcasts, use that, right? And I'm thankful for all the suffering last year. Obviously thankful for the good, but you got to be thankful for the bad as well. Puts that suffering into context. Now today, you got solo Whiz, so before you leave right now. Now, this one's going to be a little, probably a lot controversial, right? Because I've been holding on to this topic, okay? I've been holding on to this one for a while. And I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of things that I saw, that I experienced on the medicine both times and both medicines. The ibogaine and the bufo, right, the toad, 5-MeO-DMT, that are between me and our creator. And will stay that way. This was one of them that I've held on to for a while. And I've started to come out of the closet, so to speak, on this, not that subject, on this subject. And you ready for this? We are absolutely alone. Now, before you drive off the side of the road or pitchforks and torches at my doorstep, I'll map it out. But at bottom line up front, right? We say that in the military. What's the bluff? Give me the bluff. Bottom line up front. It's awful in the business world. You sit through 92 PowerPoint slides. The dude or lady loses you and they try and give you the no. What's the bluff, man? The bluff is, I believe. Who? I. Not saying this is absolute fact, not blah, blah. Everybody froths at a lot of people. This is going to hit. This is going to land wrong to a lot of you. I believe. I know, because I experienced it, we are absolutely alone. Now, let's build the court case. Let's start with who I used to be, right? Growing up on the Jersey Shore, nights on the beach, fireworks, doing mischief, whatever. Every once in a while, pausing and looking up, man, looking up. And growing up, I was born the last day of 1968, December 31st. Now, Cat, you better be listening. Cat number one. My birthday is never next year. I want you to think about that. That's a little bit of a brain teaser. Found that out a couple years ago. Been living 5 decades and didn't know this little mind teaser. And my daughter Keely hates it because every December 31st and my birthday, I bring it up, and I don't think she still gets it, but think about it. On December 31st, when's my birthday? This year. On December 31st at 11:59 and 11:59, when's my birthday this year? At midnight, when's my birthday this year? My birthday is always this year. So, Kat, I hope that finally sinks in. And by the way, little shout out to my beautiful bride Susie, because my birthday, but we do this if it wasn't my birthday. We do this at the end of the year. We have something called the Good Things Jar. The Good Things Jar is a jar on our counter in our kitchen with some index cards or, sticky notes or whatever, sit next to it with a pen. And any time throughout the year that something good happens, it goes in the jar. And then at my birthday dinner, this year it was a birthday lunch since we were going out, we go around the table and we each take turns pulling something out of the good things jar and we debrief the year. And man, what an incredible thing to do, because it really puts into perspective you ready for it? The good things that happened during the year. I was blown away by how good the good things of last year were. So very thankful. Actually, my son Matthew just put a good thing in the good things jar. He has been busting his ass since he graduated from the Military College of Vermont, Norwich University. He's been busting his ass to take his Navy Officer Candidate School test, and he got his ass kicked the first time because walking in, like, all right, man, okay, now I get it. And he like quadrupled his scores since the first one. So now he can go to Navy Officer Candidate School and all sorts of shit like that. Between us ladies, I don't want him to do it. It's a longer conversation. I think you've heard this on my podcast before, but I love my boy. I support him. He can be a dog catcher, and I love and I'm proud of my son. But he wants to serve his country, and I wouldn't. Between us ladies, this ain't a country I don't want my child dying for this absolute shit show 4 days into the new Congress. Well, it's not a new Congress because we can't elect a speaker. I want my kid dying in Eastern Europe on a battlefield or on a ship or something like because of Kamala or Joe or Vladimir or Zelensky, isn't his name? Whatever. Or the Straits of Taiwan. Nah, man. But anyway, love my boy. So that was a good thing. And why am I rambling about this? Because the other day when he got his scores and came home, he wrote something in the good things jar and put it in. That's the first thing in the good things jar was Matthew. And hopefully, heading up to, I guess, Newport, Rhode Island for Navy Officer Candidate School. So anyway, did that. And I have no idea why we're talking about this, but let's get back on the schedule. Growing up, that's where. Let's go back to the beach. Looking up into the sky, New Jersey, beach. We're not alone, right? So the 1968, when I was born, I am a child of what? The Apollo program. John F. Kennedy, the last cool Democrat. Hey, man, we do these things. Why? Because they're hard, not because they're easy. Our mission objective, put a man on the moon before this decade is out. We did it. With less technology in my Apple Watch on my wrist or the cell phone that you're listening to me on. Put a man on the moon. Men on the moon. Hopefully ladies soon. Chad grew up in the 80s, right? I was a junior at Wyoming Seminary. It wasn't in Wyoming, and it wasn't a seminary. It was a boarding school, a prep school in Wilkes-Barre, outside of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, called YOSEM. And I remember in between classes that morning and watching a Challenger explode. Stationed flying Hornets for the reserves in Fort Worth when Columbia blew up. Walked outside. Holy shit, raced into the air station. Signs on the highway. Falling shuttle debris. Warning. If it lands in your yard, call us. In our hangar, FEMA, NASA, they set up shop. It was insane. Saw the Israeli astronaut's helmet and his patch. You want to talk about eerie? They were like reconstructing that shuttle in the hangar next to us. It was awful. Why am I bringing up the space program? Because I always looked up. I always wanted to be an astronaut, man. At the time, applied, U.S. Air Force Academy. I got nominated. Didn't get in. Wanted to go Navy. But here's what I'm rambling about, man. My entire life, there is no fucking way that we're alone. A crowded universe, UFOs, aliens, other worlds, trillions of other planets. Believe it. Over the skies of Iraq. Ain't that much electricity generating in Iraq when I was flying over it at night. So when you're at night over a country with very little lighting and it's just the stars and you have on night vision goggles and you're at 30, 40,000 feet and you look up, it would fucking blow you away what you see. So ladies and gentlemen, going into this medicine, that's settled. The science is settled, right? I can't wait for the Fauci hearings and everything like that. The settled science has apparently changed repeatedly. Anyway, love Elon Musk. Love what he's doing. Turning on the lights in the kitchen, showing us where the roaches are. But anyway, not even on Whiz's radar. In my pre-flight preparation for the medicine, I'm asking about my sister and my father and drugs and alcohol and relationships and just all the shit in my life. I was not prepared for what I'm about to tell you. And what I'm about to tell you, I've held on to for a year and a half because it's not accepted. It's not conventional wisdom. Well, it is for some. David Kipping, in one of the most incredible, brilliant minds on the face of this planet, and just seems like a good dude, like you want to throw back a pint with. Because we're going to talk about this because he's got this great video on YouTube called Are We Alone? A cool, the hell's the name of the channel? Cool Runnings? No, that's the Jamaican bobsled team. Cool Worlds. And I sit there, and I've watched this one, Are We Alone? Cool Worlds, David Kipping. Watch it repeatedly. And he's got other ones like, is there a life on it? Please watch this. But anyway, here's what I'm getting at. On the medicine, and it's so cool that on the Ibogaine, I haven't done Ibogaine. On the Ibogaine, considering stepping into Iboga, separate story. On the Ibogaine, it really is incredible how the hundreds of people I've talked to that have stepped into Ibogaine have similar, and I hate breaking the medicine up into half. Half was this, half was that. Dude, it could have been 99 and 1 or 1 and 90. I don't know, but I'm breaking up into halves because, I'm going to do it. But the first half of the medicine, it began with beauty, shapes, colors, geometry, sacred geometry. I remember getting back and looking at Susie, who looked at me for 6 hours at the Bug Resort with her eyes wide open going, what the fuck happened to this man and who is it? I'm like, I don't need to travel anywhere on the face of this planet again. She's like, why? I'm like, I saw everything. Okay, so let me remind you, if you're new, you owe me 50 push-ups if this is new to you because you haven't listened to all the previous podcasts, but here's the Cliff Notes. I saw everything. It was if God, creator, source, truth, divine, whichever word you pick out of that, you pick it. I'm using God. It's as if God said, Whiz, check this out. Like, look at what I cooked, man. Look at what I made. And I saw everything on this planet. From the smallest ant to the top of Mount Everest, I saw all of it. And then, after it was like, yeah, what do you think of that? I'm like, that's fucking cool. Boom, up into space. Not scary space. It felt home. And God showed me, you ready for this? Everything. I saw it. So after literally touring this universe, I saw planets and beauty and all sorts of stuff like that. What did I tell you I didn't see? I didn't see any other life. Oh, I saw beauty. I saw these planets. It's just the beauty and the cosmos, different galaxies. I saw all of it. Not one fucking other human. Not one other slee stack. No Godzilla. No Ultraman. Nothing. And I remember getting back from that tour. This is still in the first half. The second half was me. My sister, my dad, my bride, also, that's the second half. But towards the ending of the first half of the Ibogaine, I'm staring at Earth. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's incredible. I was staring at it. And I got this, I'm like, that's it. We're it. And I don't remember. I'm still integrating, folks. I'm going to do another couple more podcasts soon of stuff I'm still picking up and remembering. This is a lifelong gift. The integration is like, I'm done my integration. I will be integrating until that last breath when I have ego death again for the final and infinite time. But I remember looking at this beautiful planet, our home, and God, who kind of had me under his arm, just kind of looking at it and kind of he gave me a little bit like, not that God can be sad, but it was kind of like a little weighty. It was like, yeah, look at what we're doing. Not we. Look at what you're doing to it. War, poverty, disease, hate, racism, crime, pollution. It's almost like growing up. I remember that, trash commercial with the Indian that like had a tear in his eye. It was kind of like, it was like that, man. And I was like, fuck, this is it, man. This is our fucking lifeboat. God created everything and we're it. And I was, and again, I'm still integrating because I kind of, I'll be honest, and this is an honest point, I buried a lot of this stuff. I wrote it down in my journal. Cindy with an I, God bless her, she's like, just write on your gray day, discovery day. It's a gray day. On your discovery day, write. Even if you don't know what you're writing, just write. Years later, it's hitting me. I wrote all this shit. And now I'm coming publicly with it. Because God kind of is like, yeah, I don't know if I brought it up or God brought it up, but it was like, and look at what happened to my son. You killed him. Now I get why, and that had to happen, right? If you believe Jesus came to our planet to kind of talk about a lot of some of the shit that I'm talking. Not that I'm comparing myself to Jesus. Please don't say I'm going to burn in hell, but pretty wise dude, man, full of knowledge and wisdom and love and compassion. That wasn't always me through a lot of the years of my life. I certainly feel closer to Source and God and Jesus than I ever have. And again, 5 years ago, me listening to me on this podcast would give me a wedgie and take my lunch money and laugh at me. And that guy's a dick. And he's dead. And now you have me. So it was kind of like it was a very sobering moment for me. I didn't see life anywhere. God kind of did this is it, my son. You are special. Not just you, all meaning us, that earth. So and it's funny because before I came in here, I'm getting shit on this one Instagram thread because I'm like, we're it, man. And of course, how dare you? And I'm like, I'm just sharing with you what I saw and experienced. I was that guy. You have to be ignorant if you believe that there are not life on other planets. And I'm like, oh, let's take a step back and start doing a little math or critical thinking. So let's dig into this a little bit. And again, this is 98.9% of this is from Kipping's observations. Which just, again, a great dude. Watch his videos on YouTube. Watch Are We Alone? Because he clearly does a better job than I'm going to butcher right here. But you ready for this? The observable universe that we, quote, know about, right? And you guys know my Ibogaine and my Bufo, my Toad experience, I felt infinity. When I got into that loop with God, that was like, dude, who made you? Very patient. I have always been, Matthew, and I will always be. I get that. But hold on, man. Who made you? Clearly, you couldn't. Matthew, I have all. Third time around, God just kind of gently grabbed me and threw me up, and boom, I felt it. I felt forever. And then came back. He's like, you got me? I'm like, check. Okay. So let's get back to less than infinity. Great show on next. Look at me, man. What was this called? I put this in my Signal thread with the boys last night. It is called A Journey to, where is it? A Journey, it's probably that. It's a journey, where is it? Netflix. A Trip to Infinity. on Netflix. Just came out in September, man. Mathematicians, particle physicists, cosmologists dive into infinity. It was awesome. I've been there. They should have interviewed me. So anyway, the observable universe, ladies and gentlemen, is 76 gillion stars. You're going to get a lot of SAT words today. I'm a political science major. I need all the help I can get. That's 1,000 million. 76 gillion stars. You ready for this? Guess how many planets are revolving around them? 10 million billion. So, again, that, professor, limousine liberal dude that I can't stand, who's not even a scientist. What's that weird whatever. All these people. Or even the guy, what's his name? The other physicist. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You have to be daft to believe. It's just statistically improbable. No. You're inverted, dude. So let's go on a journey. If it's statistically, physically impossible that we're alone, let's dig, right? There's something, again, welcome to your SAT prep, called abiogenesis. The term abiogenesis means life starting from fucking scratch, right? Just life as we know it, okay? So when you look at the odds of life just simply starting from scratch, we're going to build a case here. You ready for the odds? 1 in septillion. So when you watch the video or you listen to me, and as I butcher this, the odds are absolutely greater. The odds on the scale actually lean absolutely more towards us being alone. If the probability of life is, so if you're sitting there going, okay, dude, you lost me at 1 septillion. 1 septillion is a trillion. The odds of you listening to me on this podcast right now are almost impossible. Why are they almost impossible? Because I think it's 1 in 44 quadrillion that you are alive today. It's possible, obviously, because you're listening to this podcast. You're alive, so obviously. But the odds of you being alive, it's insane. So everybody's sitting there going, it's a crowded universe. There's fucking aliens flying around and Spock beam me up and shit like that. Huh. Then that kind of takes a little bit away from at least what I saw, right? That God looked at me and said, that big blue marble he and I were looking at. Can you stand in space? That kind of diminishes how unique and how special we are, doesn't it? Dude, there's fucking plasma vehicle. Really? So let's get back real quick to all the religious types on this podcast. Is there space Jesus? Are there a million Jesuses? We got one dude, and then over at the Sleestack planet, they got Sleestack Jesus? Huh. It's interesting when I start talking to the uber religious folks about this stuff. Oh, yeah, there's got to be life everywhere. I'm like, so there's multiple Jesus. Oh, no, there's only one. And then so, ladies and gentlemen, and again, there's two big variables here, right? Without knowing precisely, it's approximately 1 in septillion, the probability of life starting. So without knowing what that number is, the probability of abiogenesis, we can't really make a statistical argument. So all the people who look at you and go, it's statistically impossible that we're solo. If you don't know what the probability of life happening spontaneously is, you can't make that judgment. We need to know two things, folks. What are the number of inhabitable worlds or potentially inhabitable worlds, right? That's one thing we need to know. And the probability of life spontaneously starting on those worlds, folks. Those are two massive variables. What are the number of inhabitable worlds, or could maybe be inhabitable? And what's the probability of life starting on those worlds? Folks, life on Earth, the life we know it, this guy rambling to you right now needs what? Two basic things, water and carbon, right? Water and carbon, not only getting SAT words, you're getting your high school chemistry class again, required for life, right? All the other requirements needed for life, earthbound life, obviously are found all over the universe. We can find space dust. We are space dust, but we can find space dust or shit on asteroids, those chemicals, right? So what are the odds that the chemicals came together in the right sequence, order, magic to make life and create this like Darwinian evolution? Fucking single cell amoeba crawling onto a beach, standing here talking on a podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, no lab experiment to date on this planet has created life with these chemicals and conditions, folks, right? Unless you're watching Young Frankenstein or something like that, right? So in 1952, at the University of Chicago, they took water, methane, ammonia, hydrogen, and they did what, man? Put it all together and heated it and threw some lightning or sparks at it, right? To simulate lightning. Guess what happened? Nothing. No spontaneous life happened. No fucking thing jumped out of a beaker and strangled the scientist and ran through Chicago, right? So, folks, this shows, that proves. So there's been other experiments. They took all the shit that makes a thing, a you, and it didn't happen. This proves, folks, that life is not inevitable. Even if you have all the shit needed for life, it doesn't happen, right? Stuffing all this stuff together doesn't necessarily make life. Now, that the experiments could suck, or guess what? Maybe what happened to us is special. The book, was it Ward and Brownlee wrote Rare Earth, I think in like 2000. Now, Elon Musk, it was a cool Twitter fight years ago. Like, there's the universe is teeming with life. And a smart dude pitched into the fight and said, nah, not really. And then, Elon Musk is like, what about chemotrophs or extremophiles? Like these microscopic things these things can literally live in like acid baths or like in vacuums. But that doesn't necessarily, the fact that that quote life, if you want to consider whatever that thing, it's really creepy if you see a picture of like an extremophile. It's like insane. The fact that can adapt to live in acid or in a vacuum doesn't mean it can start life. Okay? I want to give you an analogy, and again, this is taken from his video. Let's say you get thrown, in a jail. Okay? And here's what's interesting. Did life on this planet start fast or slow? The answer is fast. After all the conditions were ripe for life, it started in a couple 100 million years. Now, if you're sitting there going, fuck, that's a long time, it actually isn't when you consider how old the universe is and blah, 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 blah. But the fact that life started, quote, fast after the conditions were ripe is interesting, because I want to give you an example here. It's his example, but I'm going to do it. Let's take a big-ass prison, 1 million cells. Think of Alcatraz, but freaking massive, okay? 1 million jail cells. Alcatraz, baby. One cell has one person in it. Every prisoner in a cell doesn't know that there's a 999, that there's the other jail cells, right? I'm just in a jail cell. Okay, so 1 million jail cells. You're given a bobby pin, right? Got to get out of you got to pick the lock. You have 1 minute. Okay? You got 1 minute to pick your lock. Now, the lock is pickable, and on average, it takes 100 hours to get that right combo. Okay? So, everybody's got their bobby pin. You got 1 minute. At the end of 1 minute, if you didn't open your jail door, you're executed. You die. It's kind of a creepy example, but stick with me. Ready, go. Stopwatch goes, and in 1 minute, just about everybody, again, it's pretty morbid, everybody's dead except one inmate. Steve. Congrats, Steve. Steve lives. Opened the jail cell. Now, if you walked up to Steve and said, dude, how was that? What would Steve say? Dude, it was fucking easy, man. No brainer. Right? Because Steve only has one data point. Got my bobby pin, was told I had a minute, door fucking opened in a minute, man. From his perspective, it was what? Dude, no brainer. That was easy. Now, if you told him about the 999,990, everybody else that died, Steve would be like, holy fucking shit, are you kidding me? Ladies and gentlemen, we're the prisoner. We have no idea how many other prison cells are out there and how hard or easy it is to pick that lock and get out. We simply might be alone. We don't know the odds, ladies and gentlemen, of abiogenesis. We don't know the odds of it starting from scratch. Right? So if we did this a bunch of times, this jail cell, and we have a shitload of, just a ton, more than 1 million, and we did this, we would have a distribution. Again, stick with me, little stat type of stuff here. There would be dudes who picked the lock like within a second, and then like somebody at the last second. That whole distribution, right? We would have, right? So if you do it a bunch of times, we have guys that pick it immediately and guys that do like 60 seconds, right? That distribution. So life in our world example for us started pretty early on this planet. What if Earth started late on this planet? If life started late on Earth, like closer to the 60-second guy, right? If life on this planet started late, I wouldn't be on a podcast right now. I might be asleep, a sloth or an amoeba right now. Does that make sense? And it's interesting because there's this principle called mediocrity, right? I apply, this is what I know, so this is known. I apply that to the world. My experience, our experience is typical, right? Well, in the investing world, with all my disclosures and my brief trading documents and my live trade briefs, what do I have to put in big bold letters? These results are not typical. But when it comes to life, what do? Oh, dude, there's fucking billions of aliens all over this planet. Oh, really? Why? Because of us. Oh. So we're not really special. Okay. I had an open mind, folks. I swear I really did with all this stuff. And it's really interesting because I don't anymore. It's a beautiful thing to be able to sit here and go, and guys, gals, everybody, I'm not some sort of medicine snob. This isn't coming from ego. This is coming from my heart, right? Faith, Carl Sagan, great dude, brilliant mind. I love watching his old stuff. When I'd watch it as a child, it was new, and again, now it's old, right? Carl Sagan said, faith is the belief in the absence of evidence. Right? Religious people have faith. I lost my faith Twice in my life, I lost my faith twice in my life. One time was an absolute fucking horror because it was my sister dying, being killed by a drunk driver, 19 years old, destroyed my family. That's a horror. What type of God does that? Lost my faith. Found it again. It was never gone. It was just hidden. But for the second time in my life, I have lost my faith. Why? Because I don't need it. I have wisdom, not knowledge. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. And again, that's not ego whiz. That ain't fucking medicine snob type of talk. I saw it and I felt it. We are incredibly special. Now, we'll talk about another podcast because on the infinity thing last night, because for a while there, I believed the world, not our world, the universe, the galaxy universe, the observable universe keeps going. It keeps expanding, doesn't it? There's space inflation. I just made that word up. I think that's the word. The universe keeps expanding. And maybe it will go to infinity. But think about size. I'm going to give you a size demo right now. You ready for this? How big do you think an atom is, right? Sitting there in physics class, trying to stay awake sophomore year at St. Augustine Prep, talking about atoms, right? Like they're the smallest thing and you can't see them and they make up everything. I'm like, oh my God, wow, that's really tiny. Wherever you are right now, and I'm sitting in the podcast studio, there's a tree right there. Wherever you are, if you drive down the highway or in your house, go look at a tree. I want you to look at a tree right now. Typical tree. A tree, right? That's called a plank. Max Planck. Dude should have been a fighter pilot if your name's Max Planck, but a scientist, I forget what he was, scientist guy. A plank is to think of that tree to the observable universe, 98 billion light years wide, whatever it is. It's insane. To the observable universe, that tree is to the universe an atom to a plank. Inside an atom, that tree is that plank. Can you believe that? Inside one of the tiniest things you know about an atom, that plank is the size of a tree compared to the entire fucking universe. I can't even fathom that, right? Because why do I bring that up? Because people are like, Whiz, 98 billion, whatever it is, quadrillion light years away, the size of the observer. There has to be something else. No, there doesn't. That size that you ascribe to it, that entire thing you just said to me, 98 billion light years wide, the universe, could be a fucking grain of sand relative to us. It's insane. So don't give me this size or distance or time thing. None of that exists. Everything I just talked about could exist on the tip of a pin, God's pin. It's just, it's incredible to me. And again, now I'm 54. No, I'm not. You know what? I'm not. I'm going to stop with the years thing. It doesn't exist. No, of course, I'm getting older, blah, blah, blah. Got my Sean Connery little gray in my beard. Folks, I'm infinity. And so are you. If kids can identify as cats and take a shit in their classroom, in their litter box, I want to go to the DMV and put my age down as infinity because I am infinite. We are. Energy can only be transferred, man. It cannot be created. It cannot be destroyed. I have always been, and I will always be. So that's your little bit of drama. That's your little bit. And I would love to debate this, to discuss this, to bat this around. Because again, folks, I built my court case up in the beginning a little bit by saying what? I was you. You got to be ignorant to not think that there aren't laser beams and Scotties and Lukes turning off their targeting displays and wombats. I'm telling you, not you, I experienced different. Because I'm going to wrap this rant up here because I was having this debate between infinity. The universe is infinite. But remember, and that's why you got to watch that Netflix, A Trip to Infinity, because technically on a ball, right, it's kind of infinity. If space is curved and all sorts of stuff like that, you can, you kind of walk on the planet. If you keep walking, you kind of end up in the same place. You went around the planet. But that's a separate discussion. I'm bringing that up because I didn't like the concept of an infinite universe. I didn't like it because guess what? In an infinite universe, think about this. If the universe goes on forever, there is an infinite number of Edward Matthew Buckley's, call sign Whiz, sitting in a podcast studio saying he's sitting in a podcast studio. That goes on infinite amount of times. And I didn't like that. If the universe goes on for an infinity, that means everything that can ever happen happens, and it happens infinitely. Matthew Buckley could be sitting in a podcast studio doing a human sacrifice. That's happening. So what I experienced, bringing me back to after the tour of the planet, then we got airborne, saw the universe, came back to the planet, and was like, dude, that's your fucking boat, man. Clean it, fix it, heal it. You're it, and I love you. That makes me feel better. That makes me feel that holding open the door for an older lady, showing love, compassion to myself, but more importantly or just as importantly to others, means literally the world. Take care of each other. We are all we got. Have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless you and God bless all of us. Fights on and namaste.